their story, their talk story sessions this evening will give you information that we couldn't even begin to give you, because they're the ones who are now effective practitioners. We will be grading them on their... We'll see if they really did listen to us in class. But we are thrilled to have you here, and we know that many of you have family obligations, and it's just difficult to come out in the evening, so many, many thanks. And I do hope that their talk story tonight will give you a little more insight about coming into this great profession. So I am honored to be able to introduce our keynote speaker, who is one, I don't know if anyone remembers coming to 296 and watching Leilani and Jarrell hold hands under the table as they were supposed to be singing and doing art. We feel that we made the match for them, and they are now married, and yay! So I won't put this out to any single men or women, but we do really well with putting couples together.
Spend just 15 minutes in a classroom of the grade you want to teach, and I guarantee you'll find a reason why you want to be a teacher. Just like this man whose picture I Googled. I'm sure he has a why. Okay, here's my second experience. This is challenges working in a school. During my time in the AAT program, I crafted an educational philosophy. Thank you, Jeff. And this was my philosophy, and it still holds true today. You learn so that you can make a difference in your community. I knew I wanted to teach on the west side because that's where I'm from. I still live there with my wife. That's the side, I tell this to my wife all the time, that's the side of the island, that's the only place in the world that makes sense to me. So I'm going to teach there. And the biggest reason was because that's my community. I know what the students are going through because I went through it. I know what the parents are struggling with because I have a lot of classmates whose parents have struggled with the same things. So I wanted to give my students a teacher who could empathize, and I wanted to give my parents a teacher that they could trust. Sometimes working with parents is just as hard, if not harder, than working with the students. And here's an example from last year. One day after school, a parent barged into my classroom. Making such a ruckus that my EA ducked out of the room. This parent wasted no time shouting and accusing me of allowing her daughter to be bullied and not caring about her child. I was taken aback. After all I'd done for these parents, this is what I get. I was so tempted to throw the argument back into her face, ready to say that if she knew her daughter like I did, she would know that her daughter did more bullying than any of the students in my class. But something stopped me. It was another why. Why did I teach? To make a difference in my community. To give parents a teacher they could trust. This was my moment to prove that I was that teacher. So I started with a phrase that I learned in Jed's class. I hear what you're telling me. It works. I hear what you're telling me. May I speak with your daughter briefly? I turned to her daughter and said, do you know how important you are to me in this class? I have you sitting at that table because those students need someone who will keep them focused on their work, and I think you are just the person that they need. I need you in my class, and I need you to love coming here. I then talked to her about some ways that she can avoid being bullied, and some of the things that she can do if she's ever bullied again. When I looked up at her mother, I saw her face soften, Then she sighed and said, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to come in here and jump down your throat. But I heard that my baby was being hurt, and you do anything to protect your daughter, right?" And she said, "Yes." Then I told her, "I wish all of my students had a mother like you." So what was it that got me through this potentially hazardous exchange? It was my teaching philosophy. That was my why. As you go through your ed courses, you'll create your own educational philosophies. One thing that your ed professors will tell you is that everything you do should reflect your educational philosophies. The lessons you teach, the units you plan, the interviews that you have, and even the conversations that you have with your students and your parents. Everything. Because your philosophy is your why. Why are you doing this? And why are you doing it the way you're doing? Here's the last why. Let me skip through some stuff. Challenges with student engagement. The last why is a little bit different from the first two whys. The first two whys require you to understand the why. The last why requires your students to understand the why. During my first semester of teaching, I remember teaching a lesson. I don't remember what it was about. I only remember some of my students getting restless, even disruptive. When I tried to correct their behavior, a student turned to me and shouted, "Why are we learning this?" At first, I was offended. You dare challenge me, Thor, with so puny a weapon? But then I started to think that the student had a valid point. And he taught me a very important lesson about overcoming and even avoiding challenges with student engagement. The students need to know why they are learning what they're doing. Fast forward to this year, once I had more time practicing teaching the why, I had to teach my students how to do something that I hated doing while I was in college, and I was a writing tutor. I hated writing summaries. I hated it. English 100, we had to summarize, paraphrase, and quote, I hated that. And now, I looked at the curriculum, and I have to teach this many things. I was dreading those lessons. How am I supposed to make something that even I find boring engaging? I was imagining my students falling asleep, drifting off into their own conversations, or even playing around. And I couldn't blame them. And as I imagined that, I also imagined my students asking me that question that my disruptive second grader asked me. Why are we learning this? But then it hit me. I needed to teach them why. So at the beginning of my lesson, I talked about what a summary is. A short retelling in your own words of the main ideas and key details of something. Exciting. I could feel the boredom. That was when I employed my secret weapon, the why. I asked them where they had seen short retellings of things before. And they had no idea. I was supposed to show you this question earlier. Then I showed them this. This is the back of one of our favorite books. Last year, because I had these same students, we actually started reading The Magic Tree House, book number 1. And because I looped up with them again, they asked if we can continue reading. So this is their favorite book series. I showed them that, and I saw some heads pop off the table. And then I asked them, where else have you seen short retellings of the main ideas of something? Show them this. All the heads were off the table now. One of my students even said, "Mr. Manoa, what about like movie trailers? Isn't that like a summary?" I smiled at him and flipped to my next slide, which was the trailer for the Avengers movie. The last thing that I showed them was this. This is an ad for a summary writer. Some of my students said, "What? You can get paid for writing a summary?" I was like, look. And then I heard this. better pay attention then. We're in our second week of summary writing, and I haven't had any problems with engagement or behavior. The reason is because my students understand why they're learning this. The thought that I want you to understand about this last why is this. If your reason why your students must learn something is good enough for them, you will have more engaged students. So, as I mentioned earlier, some of us know exactly what our whys are. And some of us may still be trying to figure them out. If you need a why that you can use right away, I want you to think about this last why. This is a why that you can start with. Why are you here tonight? Some of us are here because we want to be better teachers for our future students. We want to figure out if this is really what we want. We love hanging out with the AAT crew. We know the AAT crew loves hanging out with us. And some of us just love pizza and good company. Anyone, even the last one, any one of these whys is enough of a why to get you started. And as you go through the workshops tonight, you will find more and more reasons why. And whenever you find a why, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write it down. I want you to put them in a place where you can easily find them. I have, in my house, our house, a file that I titled, This Is Why. And in this file, I keep memories from my students, a lot of letters. One student, remember how I said we were reading the Magic Tree House? She said if I continue to read the Magic Tree House to her students, then she wanted me to keep this one so that I can read it to my next students. And anytime that I feel like I'm losing my drive, like I'm losing motivation, I open this up, I go through every single one, especially the ones where my students call me handsome. And I remember that this is why. You're going to have a lot of your whys answered tonight. You're going to have a lot more whys, a lot more reasons tonight. And if you can keep that in your mind, why you're doing this, then it'll carry you through any of the challenges that you have. They wanted to give advice on how to be a good student. And then they wanted to give you advice on how to be a good teacher. So I picked the ones that I didn't have to edit that much. Okay, how to be a good student. You can be a good student by listening to your teacher and by doing the work that your teacher gives you. Don't talk when the teacher is talking. Okay, here's another one. If someone is being mean to you, you got to tell the teacher and don't try to get back at them. Here's the last one for this one. Do not be rude in school like sneezing in people's faces or sleeping in class. And do not try to get out of class like to try to go to the bathroom or something. Okay, so these next ones are how to be a good teacher. No pressure. Say the right thing and do the right thing at the right time. Watch every student like a hawk. Make sure they do their work. I like this part. Try to teach them things above grade level, but not too hard or else they won't be able to do their work. And finally, one of my students said one word on how to be a good teacher. And he said this. Now I can say that.